Part 75. This drug is so addictive. I have never been so happy. Nian Liangfu are not completely heartless. He really has some feelings for Lu Furong, the 18-year-old girl with yellow flowers. Fresh and tender like a budding orchid, gave him her innocence overnight. Nian Liangfu only needs to think of the crying and mellowness of that night, and the tenderness and shyness of the next few nights, letting thousands of flowers pass by. The veteran also saved the beauty of grace and wanted to repay the favor. Therefore, every day and every night, I only spend time on her. A few days ago, Lu Furong said that the beads on her phoenix crown were not big enough, and she was afraid of being laughed at when she came on stage. Nian Liangfu quickly went out with her in the car, and went to 3 or 4 big ocean companies before picking out a box of South Sea beads that she liked, and bought 2 more brocades and a few rolls of foreign lace, which made Lu Furong rejoice. Because Lu Furong said she wanted to go to the park, I took her to the park for a big meal today. Unexpectedly, he bumped into his brother-in-law Xuan Huaifeng. How did he get the position of the director? Nian Liangfu is not a blind man who eats wontons, and he knows what to do, so after the brother-in-law's lesson, he really took care of his wife. Since he was coaxing his wife, he simply didn't do it, and he kept going. Nian Liangfu got off work and went to Fuyun Mansion to buy a few boxes of good dim sum, and then went to the stall to ask for a few packets of sour fruit. He has been missing a lot recently, but today he went home on time and brought a lot of snacks that Xuan Dian likes to eat. This is a very pleasant surprise. When Xuan Dian saw it, she covered her mouth with a handkerchief and smiled, and asked, "What bad things did you do outside? And you suddenly show such great hospitality?" Nian Liangfu said, "Look at what you said. When your husband buys things, if the wife eats it, then it must be a bad thing." With such a thought, how many husbands have been unjustly killed through the ages? I have been doing business these days and I am too busy to spend time at home. I know that I have wronged my wife. You say that I am making an apology. I really admit it. Xuan Dian squeezed a sour date, put it in her mouth, and said with a smile, "If you really do business, it's a good thing. What kind of sins should you pay for? I'm afraid that you will be busy." "Busy belly beauty," Nian Liangfu said. "What nonsense. People who are pregnant with children really like to guess." He picked a large candied fruit and sent it to Xuan Dian's mouth with a smile. Xuan Dian sneered at him and said, "Do you want to stop my mouth? Don't underestimate people. You are doing a good job outside. What is Xiao Fengxi? What is Shili Xiang? And the woman in charge of the family doesn't know about it. Now? It's a new era. It's nothing new for women to get divorced. You just read the newspaper news." Nian Liangfu spread his hands and said helplessly, "If I don't come back, you will make trouble. When I come back, you will make trouble too. What should I do? Do you really want me to kneel down for you and kowtow to you? You are a mother, only for the sake of the child. And the father of the child should always be spared. The family is friendly, are you not okay?" Xuan Dian liked him very much when he came back today. It's just that she has always been tolerant of others, so she just said a few words and picked on the other side's thorns. Seeing Nian Liangfu's appearance, she felt both soft-hearted and a little dissatisfied, and said stubbornly, "When did I get angry? But I didn't go out to the park to watch movies with outsiders." She threw the fruit in his hand to the plate, stood up, and went inside with a shy stomach. She said this inadvertently, but it happened to hit Nian Liangfu's guilty conscience. He suddenly thought that Xuan Huaifeng made a small report about the incident in the park today, and his wife knew it. He was excited, and poured a bucket of cold water on his head, and his heart suddenly felt empty, but the next moment, his face flushed and his ears became embarrassed. I thought hard, oh wow. These two brothers and sisters deliberately stepped on my face to the ground. I can't stand outside, and I can't stand at home. What does this mean? Zhang Mama saw her master come back with a gift today. She expected that her miss would be happy, and she hurriedly cooked and prepared 2 good dishes herself. She would wipe her apron while walking over and asked, "The dishes in the dining room are all set, Miss and Master, please come over and use it." Nian Liangfu, his face was blue. And his tone was very bad. He said, "I'm not hungry, you can ask your lady to eat." Xuan Dian was in the room waiting for Nian Liangfu to come in. According to her opinion, Nian Liangfu did something wrong first. She was pregnant with a child, and the husband and wife were quarreling. So the husband should always say soft words to his wife first. As soon as the soft words came out, the feelings naturally recovered. Unexpectedly, Nian Liangfu became stubborn today. He was even more angry when he heard him say to Zhang Mama that he didn't eat, and said to the outside with a loud voice, "The little girl is used to serving good soup and water." What do you think of Director Nian? No matter how good the food we cook, it can't be compared to the ditty sung by others. Zhang Mama knew that their husband and wife were bickering. So she didn't dare to get caught in it and went down quietly. Nian Liangfu was left in the outer room, full of anger, and he didn't dare to make a noise with Xuan Dian across the door. He stood for a while, stomped his feet and went out angrily. Xuan Dian stuck her head out and shouted, "Just go, if you have the ability, don't ask for this family. And don't ask for your position as director." After saying this, her throat was choked up, coldly sat for a while. Zhang Mama came in and sighed and persuaded her. "Why do you have to argue with him when the good master comes back? It's not good for the child." Xuan Dian said aggrieved, "It's what he did that made me sad. Could it be that he's right? But talking about him, it's like I owe him 100,000 yuan. Zhang Mama asked, "Can a cat not be greedy when it sees a fish? It's not good for those shameless women. Being a wife is the most important thing. It is to give birth to a child. Master must be grateful for you to give birth to a son. Besides, the chief officer of his department was given to him by the young master. No matter what, the master would not dare to treat the young lady badly. Men, this is the most important thing. Save some face, Miss will save him a little, and he will be satisfied. He and young woman are the only way to live." Xuan Dian smiled and said, "You are an old mother who doesn't know big characters. Where did you find this big chapter to teach others?" "I read an article in the Xinmin Evening News yesterday, which is criticizing your ancient thinking. Who said that men must be stealthy? There have been many sincere men and women throughout the ages. Look at Tang Minghuang and Yang Guifei, as well as Shi Shi and Fan Li. That Fan Li, for the sake of Shi Shi, he's not even a prime minister anymore." Having said this, he suddenly remembered something. Xuan Dian turned her head and asked, "Have you packed up the things I said today and sent them over?" Zhang Mama said, "I packed it up early, and I personally called a rickshaw to send it there." Xuan Dian asks, "What did he say?" Zhang Mama said, "Boss Pai is not here." A woman picked it up, saying it was Boss Pai's aunt. The woman's face was black and green, and I looked at it like a regular eater. "It's opium smoke." Xuan Dian frowned and said, "This is someone's elder, why is it your turn to judge? Have you told me what I told you to say?" Zhang Mama nodded and said cautiously, "You have told me 10 times, do I dare to forget it?" I explained the dosage and usage of the medicine clearly, and I handed over your letter to her, asking her to open it to Boss Pai in person. "Miss, don't blame me for talking too much, you are a person with status, Boss Pai is an actor, if the master knows." "Shut up." Xuan Dian seemed to have been pricked by a needle, glared at Zhang Mama. and said sternly, "We are friends, and we are very open and honest. What if Nian Liangfu knows? Don't he know that my friend is sick, so I can't send some medicine? He is sneaking outside. I am here with a clear conscience." Zhang Mama, seeing her getting angry, both cheeks were dyed with rouge, and she quickly said, "Okay, I don't talk much. Miss, you have a child in your stomach. Why is it worth being so angry for a word? How much care is important? Let's go to dinner." Xuan Daiyan said, "I told you, I don't eat it." Zhang Mama smiled and said, "This is angry. If you don't eat it, you should eat the one in your stomach. I made the bone lotus root soup that the young lady likes to drink. Put the food in the room to eat." "Okay." Xuan Daiyan was silent for a while, then asked in a low voice, "What about him? He's gone again?" Zhang Mama naturally knew who she was asking, and said, "He didn't leave. But he turned on the gramophone in the study and listened to those foreign songs to relieve his boredom." Xuan Daiyan was worried that he would go out and fool around again. Knowing that he was in the study, she felt a little happy and said with a smile, "I haven't read foreign books, but I know some foreign songs. It's arty. You invite him to the dining room. Let this old man have dinner. Don't let him go home and starve. Those women outside know how to ask for money and jewelry. Who really knows how to feel bad for men?" Zhang Mama said awkwardly. "Master is very busy today. I'm going to invite you. I'm afraid you won't be able to do it." Xuan Daiyan said, "Go, tell him, if you don't want to please. Then I'll go and invite it myself." She pushed Zhang Mama. Zhang Mama went away with a smile. Nian Liangfu listened for a while in the study, which was completely incomprehensible, and flipped through the newspaper for a while. Half of the annoyance in his heart subsided. Seeing that Zhang Mama came to invite him to dinner, he understood that Xuan Daiyan had ordered it. So he regarded it as a show of weakness by his wife. Although he was still a little annoyed, but remembering his brother-in-law's identity, it would be foolish not to take the opportunity to step down and hurt his position. So he followed the trend and followed Zhang Mama to the dining room. As soon as he entered the dining room, Xuan Daiyan was already sitting at the table. Nian Liangfu sat down beside his wife and took the initiative to chat a few words, and the couple had a meal in peace. "Because my wife is pregnant, I slept in separate rooms these days." Nian Liangfu took a bath after he was full, lay down on the big copper bed, tossed and turned, and couldn't sleep for half an hour. He was not someone who was saddened by spring and autumn, but at this moment, there was a sense of sadness and helplessness. He climbed up like vines from the depths. He thought of himself as a dignified man. He used to be a section chief, drinking flower wine and listening to operas, had a good day. Now, even though he has become the director, there are more unsatisfactory things than before. Being swept in the face by my brother-in-law outside, and being angry with my wife inside, I keep my head short all the time. It's really sad in life. Even those colleagues who flatter him on weekdays say that he is capable in person, and secretly say that he relies on nepotism, fears his wife like a tiger, and laughs at him, not a few. As a husband, it is really useless to be in such a field. These nights, I slept with the young and delicate body of Lu Furong, and suddenly I was alone in the empty bed. Nian Liangfu felt extraordinarily lonely and deserted. Thinking of that beautiful young woman, I felt that there were countless benefits than my wife. The more I think about it, the more distressed I feel. In the middle of the night, he couldn't help sitting up, hesitated for a long time in the darkness, gritted his teeth suddenly, got out of bed and changed his clothes. He didn't even have the patience to prepare the car, and quietly told the poor Nian Gui to call a rickshaw. For double the price, pull it to the door of Lu Hairong's house in Luahua Hutong. Nian Liangfu got off the rickshaw and knocked on the door a few times. After a while, the door opened and a pale and thin woman's face appeared. It turned out to be the mother of Lu Furong. Lu Furong is a stage name, her real surname is Mo, and others call her mother Mo Auntie. Aunt Mo saw clearly that it was Nian Liangfu, and she took a breath and said, "Master, you are here." She is in a hurry here. She opened the door and let Nian Liangfu come in. Nian Liangfu leaned into the door and asked, "What's the matter?" Aunt Mo rubbed her hands together and cried. "You asked me what's wrong, and I was just about to ask you. My girl followed you out today, why did she end up alone? She's back? She didn't eat dinner. She cried in the room all night." And her voice became hoarse. "How can you get on stage?" Nian Liangfu was also anxious when he heard this, and he didn't bother to talk to her, so he hurried inside. When I went to the back room and lifted the curtain, I saw Lu Furong in the middle of the night. She was not wearing pajamas but was wearing a tight white cheongsam, as if she was about to go out. Seeing Nian Liangfu at the door, she gave him an angry look, twisted her body, and sat beside the bed, half of her curvaceous back turned to Nian Liangfu. This anger, a twist, a sitting, is like a light flow on the stage, with an outstanding demeanor, an indescribable beauty, and a young man with straight eyes and soft heart. Nian Liangfu walked to the bedside, he smiled and said, "Who is losing your temper again? It's more than 2 o'clock, and I came to see you on purpose. You are so embarrassed to show me the back of your head." He sat next to the Lu Furong. To touch the waist of the Lu Furong. Lu Furong snapped open his hand, turned her head suddenly, gritted her small white teeth and said, "Isn't this Director Nian? You are busy with other affairs. You have a wife who is the commander's daughter, and a brother-in-law who is an adjutant of the commander-in-chief. My dear, in the middle of the night. Why don't you accompany the nobles in your family? What are you doing in the place where I play? Carefully dirty your shoes." Nian Liangfu smiled bitterly. "It's good. Who provokes you?" Lu Furong raised her neck and shouted in a shrill voice, "You're provoking me." Suddenly, she became so angry that she lost her voice, panting up and down her chest. Nian Liangfu is always very good at being angry with women. At this time, he can't talk back to the wind, and the more he fights, the more stiff he will be, so he just raises the corners of his mouth. Looks like he doesn't care, walks aside, and holds a newspaper in his hand up, slowly flipping through. Seeing his calm attitude, Lu Furong hung the corner of her mouth and smiled coldly without making a sound. She walked over to open the 2 doors of the closet, and threw the clothes hanging inside onto the bed. Nian Liangfu didn't care at first, but when he saw that she dragged a big bamboo box to open and stuffed clothes in a mess, he was surprised, came over and asked, "What are you doing?" "Pack up. I'll go back to Tianjin." Nian Liangfu hurriedly smiled and said, "Don't be a child, you just signed a contract with Tianyin Garden. What are you going back to Tianjin for?" He hurriedly took out the contents of the box. Lu Furong grabbed it in his hand, grabbed a dark green embroidered beaded cheongsam, threw it into the box, raised her head and said, "Wherever I like to go, I can go wherever I want. Who are you?" Nian Liangfu said, "Do you still want to have this kind of relationship between you and me?" After he said this, Lu Furong became even more excited, crying and shouting, "Thank you for having the courage to say that. I'm going to die of shame. I can't see the light under the big sun. I was bumped into by your brother-in-law. I didn't even dare to put a fart. You left me in the park and came back to coax my wife with my tail tucked. If I knew this, why would I give you my innocence? Rickshaw riders are also better than you." Nian Liangfu was stabbed in the sore spot, his face changed, and he growled, "Shut up. Look at me again." His hands suddenly rose. Lu Furong raised her delicate face and approached him. You fight, you fight. Anyway, my body is not clean, you are tired of playing. Kill me, you can find someone new. She couldn't do anything. So she burst into tears, bumped into Nian Liangfu's arms, rubbed her forehead against his chest, wiped her tears on Nian Liangfu's shirt, and said aggrievedly, my body is also to you. And my life to you. You are a wolf-hearted person who killed 1,000 knives in a previous life. I'm not the kind of shameless woman who will pester you. Since you don't want me, I'll go by myself. So as not to be driven by you. After a while, cried and then turned to sobbing, which sounded a bit desolate and beautiful. With such a fuss and a cry, the pear blossoms bring rain. She is so pitiful, and when Nian Liangfu sees such a cute little daughter, his heart becomes 10 times softer than before, and he persuades and coaxes her, finally making Lu Furong stop crying. He was even pointing out heaven and earth took a swearing oath. Nian Liangfu, I will only hold you in my heart for the rest of my life. If I violate this oath, the sky will be struck by thunder. Lu Furong indistinct looked at him for a long time and sighed. Nian Liangfu asked, what are you sighing again? Lu Furong sat up slowly, silent for a long time, and whispered, do you really only have me in your heart? Nian Liangfu said, of course. Lu Furong said, then I have to go back to Tianjin. Nian Liangfu, shocked and anxious, asked, why? Lu Furong hesitated to speak, her eyelashes were wet with tears, she gently fanned a few times and sighed softly. Nian Liangfu said, my auntie, don't torment me like this. If there is anything unsatisfactory, you can just say it. Lu Furong then slowly said in a low voice, don't think I'm young and don't know anything, in fact, I have concerns. People say that actors are ruthless, so how do they know that actors are also human beings, and naturally have feelings, but they are not enough for outsiders? I gave you my innocence. No matter what others say, I only recognize you as a man. Now you only have me in your heart, I only have you in my heart. Nian Liangfu said, that's very good. It's the most rare thing to love each other. Why did you lie to me and say you want to leave? It's half of what they said, don't cut them off. She was so tender and moving, with a smile and anger, even when Xuan Huaifeng was the youngest and most beautiful, and the sweetest year when she was with Nian Liangfu, he had never seen it. Nian Liangfu smiled and said, okay, you say, I'll just keep my mouth shut and listen. The lips were deliberately pressed together, and he pouted slightly. The corners of Lu Furong's lips twitched, and her smile was still full of tears, touching her heart. Lu Furong said, I went to Tianjin for your own good. Nian Liangfu couldn't help but ask, why is it for my own good? Nian Liangfu raised his hand and surrendered. Okay, I really won't interrupt this time. At this time, Lu Furong said seriously, I'll say a few words of the truth. Don't be annoyed. I know that you, this director, got it from the brother-in-law who is the deputy chief of customs. Look, I told you not to be annoyed. And you got annoyed. With her white jade fingertips, she gently rubbed the middle of Nian Liangfu's wrinkled brows, lowered his eyebrows and said tactfully, we are truly in love with each other. And of course I am willing to follow you for a long time. Can you do it? If it makes your wife unhappy because of me, your brother-in-law will probably embarrass you. Thinking of you being angry with them makes me feel like a knife. Now, I'd rather go back to Tianjin and be alone. I suffer from the pain of missing you. And I don't want you to break up with your wife and brother-in-law for me, and miss your future. Nian Liangfu has raised a lot of beautiful actors in recent years. And he is also a veteran in the entertainment industry. After Lu Furong's remarks, he never thought that he would feel so wronged for her and understand her situation so well. He felt agitated for a while, his chest and lungs instantly became hot, and the blood of a 17 or 18-year-old boy was aroused. As soon as he grasped the hand of Lu Furong, he said emotionally, "Under the heaven, you are the one who understands me the most, but it's a pity that I didn't meet you a few years earlier, otherwise I wouldn't be able to reach this useless level. The tigress in my family, every word and deed, she is willing to run on me to the point of being self-confessed, but she keeps an actor for fun, and I have to pretend not to know and smile. You don't know what a bad taste it is. Don't come back, Tianjin. If you leave me, my heart will also be broken." Lu Furong and his hands clasped tightly, they looked at each other. And their eyes couldn't help but be a little wet. After a long while, Lu Furong said, "Of course, I can't bear you. It's just, I stay here. Isn't it difficult for you to be a human being?" Nian Liangfu said, "No matter how difficult it is to be a human being, I will not let you go. Is it not enough to let me suffer so much? Do you have to stab my heart? Rabbits will bite when they are in a hurry. On their side, take one step, let's take one step." Lu Furong said, "It sounds like a good word in front. The last sentence is really unmotivated. Are you going to be restrained by them for the rest of your life?" Nian Liangfu said, "I can't resign from the post of director." Lu Furong sneered. "You said it yourself, the rabbit is in a hurry. Even biting people, not to mention that you, a big man, were rolled and flattened by your wife and brother-in-law. Like kneading dough." Lu Furong said, "It is also said in the play that you shoot a horse before you shoot a thief, and you capture the king before you catch a thief. Why does your brother-in-law hold you down? Isn't it because he has a good boss? I heard that the chief of customs is not a serious person. The newspapers often scold him. If he steps down, your brother-in-law will naturally not be able to be domineering." Nian Liangfu was a little surprised, shook his head and said, "Don't make such an idea. Although Xuan Huaifeng is not a thing, it has really helped me to find the position of the director. Once the emperor and the courtier, if the chief Pai falls, can I still stay in the position?" Lu Furong pointed at his forehead and said, being humble and dejected words, "You have been doing official duties for all these years, and your ability is obvious to all. Who said that without that chief Pai, you can't be a division chief? What if the new chief valued you more? I understand the affairs of the officialdom. What is the new chief and the old chief, who told you these things that are not kingly?" Lu Furong said, "I heard your other brother-in-law and the surname Lin whisper about this." After speaking, she called a big yawn and gaze around. Young Liangfu said, "Are you addicted again? You are only a little older, and you are more addicted than people in their 40s and 50s. Don't move, let me serve you." More dedicated than ever, while talking, he stood up, went to the dresser, opened the drawer, and took something the size of a child's fist wrapped in a silk handkerchief. Seeing the Lu Furong on weekdays, he also recognized the place. Unwrapped the handkerchief, revealing the foreign flower paper with fragrance inside, opened the foreign flower paper. There is a layer of snow-white fine paper inside, open the fine paper, only to see some white powder wrapped inside. This is commonly known as white noodles, Bai Xuelan declared the heroine in the air. Nian Liangfu shook his head and said, "It's not a good thing, 3 layers and 4 layers, wrapped like an heirloom." He handed the paper package to Lu Furong, who quickly pinched it with her white jade-like fingertips, rub in the nose. Nian Liangfu said, "I don't advise you to change to another one, it has nothing to do with me anyway. It's you. Young and beautiful, you can play as many new things as you like. Why bother with this? You must smoke, it is better to smoke a big cigarette." Lu Furong said, "It's very troublesome to smoke a big cigarette, it needs to be burned, and a big smoking gun is required." This is much more convenient. I heard that some people use needles to hit their arms, which is even more enjoyable. Lu Furong smoked for a long time, very happy. She waved her hand and asked Nian Liangfu to lie on the bed in her clothes, leaning herself in his arms. Just enjoying the comfort of the clouds, putting two red lips on Nian Liangfu's neck, kissing like a spoiled child. Nian Liangfu loves this tune. Knowing that she was very enthusiastic when she was enjoying it, and she was also polite at the moment. After doing it a few times, the two of them were all having fun, panting, sweating, and cuddling together, stroking the warm jade and fragrance in their arms, which was a little more than sensual than usual. Lu Furong put her head on his chest. When she raised her eyes were misty. A finger was drawn in a circle on his shoulder, and she asked in a low voice, "This taste is really incomparable to a fairy. Do you want to try it?" Nian Liangfu said. "You forgot what I do? Can I smoke this?" Lu Furong suddenly changed her face, sat up abruptly, and said, "I knew you looked down on me." She got out of bed, just dragged the bamboo box on the ground. Nian Liangfu suddenly had such an accident. He didn't even have time to put on clothes, walked over naked, took her hand and said, "Where did this happen? I don't smoke. And I'm not forbidding you to smoke." Lu Furong said, "I know, I'm an actor, and I'm a white-faced smoker. Can you really like me in your heart? Mom is right, man, I can't trust anyone. And it's no use for me to give up." The vanishing cream was thrown into the box. Nian Liangfu is angry and funny, afraid of her temper. She really packs up things and goes away, which is not easy to deal with. If I don't follow you, you want money, and you spend what you can. If you want to play, I will accompany you in Shanghai and Tianjin. Do I have to smoke white noodles and get addicted to drugs? Then I really like you. Where is this stupid reasoning? Lu Furong said with a sullen face. Nian, don't think too badly about others. Am I expecting you to get addicted to drugs? I just want to know your heart. You avoid these things like snakes and scorpions. When I don't know that you dislike me for sticking to it. You dislike me. Just say it. Nian Liangfu sighed. Don't make trouble without reason, okay? Lu Furong said. Okay, you just slept for a round, and before I put on my clothes, you turned your face. I made trouble for no reason, then you let me die. She bowed her head and was about to bump into the dresser. Nian Liangfu hurriedly stopped her, stomped his feet and said, "Auntie, good ancestor. Are you going to grind me to death? Which one is this singing? Otherwise, I'll go back to Tianjin, or I'll be killed here." Nian Liangfu was very embarrassed and said, "Are you forcing me to smoke white noodles?" Lu Furong said, "I'm not a fool. How much does it cost to buy some white noodles? Why am I forcing you to smoke? But I just want to see if you are willing to take this risk for my sake. If you don't, I will understand." Nian Liangfu is still alive. Hesitate. Lu Furong added, "To put it bluntly, opium is good. White flour is good, it is a medicine used by doctors, it is not bad for people, just don't smoke too much. You are a customs person, you always know that these can't be done once or twice. Is it addictive? You smoked it this time, you won't touch it again, what's the problem? It was originally a trivial matter. But it's really unbearable that you are guarding me like this and doubting me. The good problem is quitting, but you and I are not in the same mind. Even if I quit, after all, I have smoked before. You have never touched it, and in this life, we will not be an equal couple." Sitting down on the chair and lying on the dresser, she burst into tears. Nian Liangfu had just enjoyed the joy of fish and water, and it was the time when the love was strong. Seeing the Lu Furong weeping sadly, her delicate shoulders trembled like a weak lotus. Her back was like a green hill, and there was no flaw. How could it be hard? It makes sense to think about Lu Furong. These drugs have never been addicted to once smoked. Of course, he knows the harm of these. After making up his mind, Nian Liangfu smiled, walked over, stroked the shoulders of Lu Furong, and coaxed softly, "Don't cry, if I smoke it once, you will no longer make trouble with me about this." Alas, actually in my heart, I never meant to look down on people who smoke white noodles. I was just afraid that you would smoke too much and your health would not be good. Look, you seem to have lost some weight these days. Listening to him being so gentle now makes Lu Furong feel uncomfortable for a while. I raised my head, looked at him blankly, my attitude softened, and said, "I feel sad, that's my business. If you really don't want to, don't force it. Anyway, our business can only depend on the fate given by God." It's strange to say. She retired like this. But Nian Liangfu became firmer and said, "This is not good. I have made up my mind to share weal and woe with you. Since you said that you want to quit drugs, that's a good thing. Just for you. I want to do it too. Give it a taste and see how this white noodle entangles people. In the future, when you quit, I will also have some experience." Lu Furong's face flushed red and green for a while, and she shook her head hesitantly. Nian Liangfu said, "What? Do you think I'm the kind of person who is not strong enough to be indulged in poison? You look down on people too much. I only smoke this time, but I want to see what's going on. You bring the things." Pushing the shoulders of the Lu Furong. Lu Furong shyly went over, took the small bag, turned around and asked him, "Do you really want to try it?" Nian Liangfu said, "Stop talking nonsense." A piece of cigarette paper and a pack of shredded tobacco came out. First, shake some white powder on the cigarette paper, mix the cut tobacco, and slowly roll it up. After a while, it became 2 cigarettes. She took one, put it next to Nian Liangfu's mouth, and took a match herself. When she lit the cigarette, her hands trembled slightly. And she didn't light the cigarette for a while. Nian Liangfu couldn't help laughing and said, "You are going to force me to smoke just now, but now I'm about to smoke. And you're shaking." Lu Furong gave him a resentful look and said, "Don't you know me? I often get angry." "Yes. Usually you don't want to. Why did you agree today? Why don't you stop smoking?" She reached out and pulled the cigarette back from his mouth. Nian Liangfu turned his head to avoid it and smiled. "Fortunately, I agreed. Otherwise I would never have seen your affection. Now that you are like this, I know even more that you are sincere to me. This cigarette is our love. The newborn, I must taste it." After speaking, he took out a match and rubbed it, lit a cigarette, and puffed on the head of the bed. Lu Furong crouched beside him like a kitten and asked in a low voice, "How is it?" Nian Liangfu hummed. "Except for the choking point, it's the same as an ordinary cigarette. Without it, it's like you've lost your soul. It's not something amazing." He said a few words slowly, but his voice became misty. His eyes were different, and he rubbed his calf back and forth on the smooth arm of Lu Furong. Lu Furong didn't say a word. She leaned over softly, and the two rolled into a ball on the bed. Nian Liangfu has just vented a few times, but at this moment, the spirit of the dragon and horse is full of madness. Pores all over his body seem to be open to gasp for breath. "In this life, I have never been so happy."